Welcome to a deep dive curated just for you. We know you're fascinated by Islam, and
Oh, thank you.
you're quite welcome. So, you might know about Ramadan, right? The month of fasting. Well,
Right.
we're going deeper than that. We're going to explore its spiritual side, especially the role of prayer, and our guide, a YouTube podcast script.
Okay.
It's called Ramadan and Prayer, Spiritual Reflections in Islam.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, and it starts with this really interesting thought. The host talks about praying late at night during Ramadan
Mm-hmm.
and feeling connected to millions of other Muslims worldwide, all doing the same thing.
It's a powerful image, isn't it?
Right, a feeling of unity, like transcending borders.
Definitely through faith.
Exactly. But before we get, too deep into that, let's take a step back.
Okay.
For someone who's maybe not familiar, how would you explain Ramadan? What is it?
Okay, so Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar,
Uh-huh.
and Muslims all over the world observe it as a time of fasting,
Right.
reflection, and spiritual growth.
Okay.
But it's not just about abstaining from food and drink, though. It's about seeking a deeper connection with Allah.
So it's more than just the physical act.
Yes, exactly. It's about the spiritual and mental discipline.
I see, like training your mind.
Yes. Imagine you're not just resisting hunger and thirst, but
Right.
you're training your mind to control its desires.
So that leads to more self-control.
Exactly. In other areas of your life, too.
It's like a
A reminder that we have the power to overcome our based impulses.
right, like a spiritual boot camp.
Haha, that's a great way to put it. And Ramadan is also when the Quran,
Oh, right.
the holy book of Islam, was first revealed to
Okay.
the Prophet Muhammad.
I see.
It's actually known as the month of the Quran.
Wow.
And Muslims are encouraged to immerse themselves in its teachings.
So spiritual cleansing and understanding your faith.
Yes, exactly.
And that makes me think about prayer in Islam. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, in Islam, prayer, or salah,
Okay.
is considered a direct link between a believer and Allah.
Uh-huh.
It's a moment of stillness
Hmm.
amidst the chaos of daily life.
Right.
To reflect on your actions,
Okay.
to seek forgiveness,
Right.
to express gratitude, and to strengthen your relationship with Allah.
It's not just about the words then.
Absolutely. It's about achieving a state of mind.
A connection.
Yes. And this connection is especially emphasized during Ramadan.
Okay.
Not only do Muslims perform the 5 daily obligatory prayers,
Hmm.
they also engage in additional prayers, like Taraweeh,
Okay.
specific to Ramadan,
Got it.
and Tahajjud or Qiyam al-Layl.
Oh, the night prayers.
Yes.
So on top of fasting, you're adding more prayers.
You could think of it this way. Prayer during Ramadan is like turning up the volume on your spiritual radio.
Okay.
You're already tuned in, but now you're amplifying the signal,
I see.
seeking even greater closeness to Allah.
And the Taraweeh prayer.
Held in congregation every night. So
Yeah.
they create a sense of unity and shared purpose.
Hmm.
And the night prayers. They're a time for deep personal reflection and supplication.
I can imagine those being really powerful.
Yes.
Especially with Laylatul Qadr,
Ah, yes.
the night of power.
More blessed than 1,000 months.
Wow. So any act of worship during that night is...
Said to be multiplied in reward.
So you're not just praying, you're...
Seeking forgiveness, making dua.
What's dua?
It's a personal conversation with Allah.
Like anything you want to say.
Your needs, your hopes, your fears. It's direct communication.
Wow.
Anytime, anywhere, any language.
It's a very personal thing then.
It is.
But keeping up this level of devotion
Right.
for a whole month.
It can be challenging. So what are some...
The source has some excellent tips
Okay, I'm all yours.
for making the most of Ramadan and your prayers.
Let's hear them.
The first tip is all about intentions. Before you even start fasting,
Okay.
take some time to reflect
Mm-hmm.
on why you're doing this.
Like, what am I hoping to achieve? Exactly. What do you want to improve? It's about approaching Ramadan with a clear purpose,
Okay?
a sincere desire to draw closer to Allah.
So like setting a roadmap for my spiritual journey.
Precisely, having a destination makes it easier to stay on track.
Especially when the cravings hit.
Exactly, or when your motivation dips. But it doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming goal.
Right.
Break it down into smaller intentions.
I like that. Starting small.
Perhaps you want to focus on being more patient
Okay.
with your family,
Yeah.
or improving your prayers.
So intentions are just the start.
Yes. The source also emphasizes connecting with the Quran.
Oh, the Quran.
Ramadan is the perfect time to delve into its wisdom.
You don't have to read the whole thing, right?
No, even a few minutes each day.
Okay.
Reading and reflecting on a verse or two.
That could be really powerful.
It adds another layer of meaning.
Right to your fasting and prayer.
It's not just about reading the words, though.
Yes.
It's about understanding.
Pondering their relevance to your life.
Mm-hmm. Letting them guide your actions.
Like a conversation.
Yes. With the divine.
So we have intentions, Quran. It's all about being intentional, right?
Yes. And that carries over to prayer as well.
Okay.
Consistency is key.
Okay.
Going beyond those 5 daily prayers by
Hmm.
incorporating tarawih and making dua regularly.
That'll deepen my connection.
Exactly. It creates a rhythm of devotion.
It's interesting. We often think of prayer as an obligation,
Right.
but you're framing it as something positive.
Prayer shouldn't be a chore. It should be a source of peace,
Right.
comfort, and strength.
Especially during Ramadan.
Yes, when our hearts are more receptive.
And Atarawih prayers with everyone in the mosque.
They add another dimension, definitely.
What is it about praying together?
Standing shoulder to shoulder with your community,
Yeah.
united in prayer, it's powerful. And the recitation of the Quran during Tarwih,
Yeah.
so beautiful. It really touches your soul.
Okay, so we got intentions, Quran, prayer. What's next?
The 4th tip might surprise you. It's charity.
Charity.
Ramadan is a time for purifying,
Okay.
not just our bodies, but our wealth too.
I see.
Giving to those less fortunate purifies our hearts.
It reminds us of our blessings.
Exactly.
At first I was like, charity, what's that got to do with prayer? But now I see it.
It fits into the bigger picture.
It's about empathy, compassion.
Yes, qualities that are essential for spiritual growth.
It's about recognizing that our spiritual journey isn't just about ourselves.
Exactly. It's about contributing to the well-being of others.
And sometimes the smallest acts can have the biggest impact.
That's right. It's about consistently showing up for others.
So what's the last tip?
Self-reflection. This is crucial.
Okay.
It's a time to take stock.
Yeah.
Your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Identify areas where you need to improve.
Okay.
Seek forgiveness for any wrongdoings.
Mm-hmm.
And set goals for personal growth.
Like a spiritual inventory.
Exactly. Assessing where you stand and making adjustments.
Right, to align with my values.
And your faith, approach it with honesty.
Yeah.
And a genuine desire to grow Ramadan offers this unique opportunity.
For introspection.
Yes, you can emerge feeling renewed and revitalized.
Ramadan provides this framework for growth, but it can hold meaning for anyone.
Right.
It's like hitting reset. Who doesn't need that?
It's true. The beauty of Ramadan is that its principles are universal.
So those things we've been talking about,
Self-discipline, gratitude, reflection, connection.
they can enrich anyone's life.
Yes, regardless of their beliefs.
So how can our listeners tap into that Ramadan reset
Take those core principles and adapt them.
to their own lives?
Yes, think about self-discipline. What bad habit would you like to break?
Okay.
Or what good habit would you like to start? Ramadan teaches us we have the power to change.
It all starts with setting goals.
Yes, and committing to them.
So we identify an area we want to improve. What about gratitude?
Gratitude is about shifting our focus.
Um,
What we lack to what we have. Appreciate the good things, even the small things.
How do we practice gratitude?
Maybe take a moment each day to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for.
Okay.
Or express your appreciation to someone.
So it's a mindset shift.
Exactly. What about reflection? How can we do that outside Ramadan?
Good question.
Reflection is about looking inward.
At
Our thoughts, actions, motivations. Asking tough questions. Being honest with the answers.
So journaling, meditating,
Yes. Or just quiet time to reflect.
that's about self-awareness, right?
Yes. Understanding ourselves and our place.
And what about connection?
Connection is about building meaningful relationships.
With others,
And with ourselves. Spend time with loved ones.
right?
Engage in meaningful conversations, but also connect with yourself.
Self-care is important.
It is. Nurture your passions. Listen to your inner voice.
I love that you included connecting with ourselves.
It's easy to forget in our busy lives.
So we've talked about applying these Ramadan principles, but what are your personal reflections?
For me, Ramadan is about rediscovering my connection with Allah, stripping away distractions, not focusing,
And reconnecting.
yes, with what truly matters.
And prayer.
Especially during Ramadan, it brings peace and tranquility.
It's hard to find that elsewhere.
It is a moment to surrender, let go.
Be present
Yes, and I try to carry that with me.
throughout the year.
Even when life gets hectic, I remember those moments.
It's like weaving Ramadan into your life.
It doesn't have to end when the month ends.
It can be a way of life.
You got it.
You know, when we were talking about Laylatul Qadr,
Right.
I remembered a quote
Oh.
from the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
He said, "The first of his actions for which a person will be held accountable on the day of resurrection will be his prayers.
Okay.
If they are in order, he will have prospered and succeeded. If they are lacking, he will have failed and lost."
That's powerful. And while it talks about prayer, I
Yes.
think it's about a broader truth,
About
accountability, and intentionality.
in our actions,
It's a reminder to live a life in alignment with our values.
taking responsibility for our choices.
Yes.
And maybe that's the ultimate lesson from Ramadan.
It's not just about fasting and prayer.
It's a springboard.
For growth and transformation.
Exactly. This has been so insightful.
It has.
We've covered so much.
We have.
Maybe it's time for a little break.
Okay.
Let our listener digest all this.
Sounds good.
We'll be back soon to wrap things up.
Okay.
In part 3. Welcome back to our deep dive on Ramadan and prayer.
Feels like we've already covered so much.
It really does. We talked about the spiritual core of Ramadan, the power of prayer.
And how those principles can apply to anyone.
Right, even if you don't observe the month itself.
Exactly.
But, something's been on my mind.
What's that?
We talk about Ramadan as a time of renewal.
A reset.
Yeah, but what happens after the month ends?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
How do you maintain that momentum?
It's something a lot of Muslims, me included, think about Ramadan as like intense spiritual training.
You're pushing your limits, deepening your devotion.
Exactly. It's about forging that stronger connection with Allah.
But then you go back to your routine.
And that's the real test.
It's like climbing a mountain.
Yes.
And then you have to figure out how to get back down.
While carrying those lessons with you.
Exactly. So how do you do that?
Well, consistency is key.
With?
Those habits you build during Ramadan.
Like the prayers, the Quran, charity.
You shouldn't just abandon them when the month ends.
It's about finding ways to keep them going.
Exactly. It's about weaving them into your daily life.
So it's not about replicating Ramadan year-round.
No, it's about finding a sustainable rhythm
that keeps you connected
to your faith, your spiritual goals.
How do you do that? Any strategies?
Finding a balance that works for you.
Okay.
Maybe you pray a few extra rakats each day.
Okay.
Or set aside time for Quran reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you find a cause you're passionate about and donate regularly.
It's about making it a habit.
Exactly.
There's no one right way to do it.
Not at all. Everyone's journey is unique.
You have to find your own rhythm.
And stick with it. Another important thing is the community.
Ah, that sense of unity.
It's about being part of something bigger.
That doesn't end with Ramadan.
Right. We need to nurture that connection.
Like a support system.
Exactly. Stay connected with your mosque.
Yeah.
Attend lectures. Go to community events.
It reminds you you're not alone.
And it's not just about receiving support.
It's about giving back, too.
Volunteering, mentoring, helping out.
It strengthens those bonds.
And enriches your own growth.
So spiritual growth isn't just about personal practice.
It's about making a positive impact on the world.
And don't forget seeking knowledge.
Keep learning about your faith.
Read Islamic books. Listen to lectures.
Attend classes. It's about feeding your mind and soul.
Deepening your understanding, strengthening that connection.
It's a lifelong journey.
Always something new to learn.
Exactly. And lastly, remember intention.
Like we talked about at the beginning.
Right. Start each day with the intention to live a life pleasing to Allah.
Aligning actions with beliefs.
Making choices that reflect your values.
And striving to be better.
Yes. And when you stumble, don't be discouraged.
We all make mistakes.
It's about acknowledging them, seeking forgiveness.
And recommitting to your intention.
It's a process of growth.
It's not about being perfect.
It's about progress.
And that continues beyond Ramadan.
Absolutely.
This has been such an enlightening deep dive.
It really has.
We explored Ramadan, prayer.
How those ideas can shape our lives.
And for our listener,
we encourage you to keep exploring.
Reflect on what resonated with you.
Dive deeper into what sparked your curiosity.
Find ways to make these insights your own.
May this be the start of your own spiritual journey.
Until our next deep dive.
May peace and blessings be upon you all.